Hey guys, Lincoln here. Today I want to talk about JavaScript variables and how you can use them to store data for future access in your programs, and how you can use them to keep your code clean and organized, as well as easily readable by yourself and future engineers who might read your code when you're not around. Let's get started. Okay, I'm here in Visual Studio Code, and I have the JavaScript window over here where we're going to type our JavaScript, and then over here we're going to see the output when we print out stuff or an error occurs. So watch over here as we type and then look over here for the output. So let's get started. So first thing we want to do is to declare a variable, any variable, but we want to give it a name and set a value to it. So let's start by typing the keyword let, which is what allows us to define a variable. And we can give it a name, let's say apple, and then we give it a value and we can make that apple. So now we've declared a variable that is called apple and has a value of apple. Now let's print that value out, that variable out, and see what happens. So now we're printing out to the console, and we can see here that it's printing out apple. It's apple what we set right here. So what if we want to change that variable to something else? Let's say we want to make apple equal to orange. And let's print out the new apple. And we can see that first it prints out apple, and then it prints out orange. So that's how we can define a variable, give it a name, and also change it whenever we want in our program. But what if we want to define a variable that we cannot change later on? Let's start by getting rid of all of this and declaring a new variable. The new keyword we want to type is const. So this is a constant variable, right? This allows us to define a variable that cannot be changed later. So let's say we want to define a variable pi, right? 3.14. Because we know that pi is constant, it can't be changed. Everyone knows that it's 3.14. So let's print out pi. And we can see here that it prints out 3.14, which is pi. So now let's try to change that variable pi to, say, 6. As you can see here, an error is printed out, is thrown in our program, and it says that we cannot change the variable, the value of a constant variable. Right? We're trying to assign to a constant variable when it's already been set, it's already been declared and instantiated. So that's the difference between let and const. So if we change this to let, we have 3.14, and then we can actually print out the new pi. So pi is now 6, right? Let allows us to define a variable that we can then change later on in our program. If we go back to const, we can see that it prints out 3.14 first, but then when we try to change it, it says that an error was thrown. This is expected. So now you know how we can define a variable that can be changed, mutated, and we can define a variable that cannot be changed, right? This is called a variable that's immutable, right? So now let's take a look at other variables that we can define, other variable types. So we can define a number equals 3. We can define a array of numbers, 2, 1, 2, 3, 44, right? And we can actually print out that array and see what's in it. And here it is, 1, 2, 3, 44, as we defined. So now let's say we want to define a function that prints out anything we give it. So print value, and we'll give it value, and we can say, hey, print it out. And now we can call this, we don't even need to do a const or let. A function can have a name of its own. But say we want to give it another name and make it a const. Print value equals function. We can do that, or we can also do let and we can later change it. So let's do print value. We can call print value and give it anything we want. Let's give it my name, Lincoln. And we can see that it prints out Lincoln. So what if we want to change what print value does, right? We define it as a let variable, so that means that we can change it, right? So let's make print value equal to another function that will take the same value and it will console.log value plus something, right? And let's just say cool. So this will print out the value that we give it with that extra cool at the end because we're cool, you know? So, let's give it dogs are. So dogs are cool, right? So it took whatever we wanted and printed it out with that extra cool at the end. But now what we care about really is that we can change the variable that was originally this function that said print out whatever we're given, and it printed out Lincoln. Then we went and changed it to another function that says print out the value that we give, and add this extra little cool thing at the end. And it did exactly that when we printed it out again. So now we have dogs are cool. That is the power of JavaScript. It's very simple, but so flexible. And you can do pretty much whatever you want with these variables. So, one thing we forgot is defining an object. So say we want to create a dog object, and that dog has a name, right? And that dog's name is Buddy. Now we have an object which we're calling a dog, and we can print out that entire object, just like we print out every other variable. And we can see that we printed out the object that has a field of another variable, which is name, and that variable is equal to Buddy. We can even go further and say, let's print out dog.name. So get the dog's field called name and print it out, right? So because this name field or variable is defined on this object, it prints out. But let's say we want to print out another field that hasn't been defined. Let's say age. It prints out undefined because we haven't defined age on dog. But if we put age right here, let's say 7, it prints out 7 because that's the variable dog.age. And that's pretty much it. So there's a little bit more to learn about variables, but to get started, this is all you need to know. You can create a mutable variable with the let keyword. You can create an immutable variable, a variable that cannot be changed later on in the same scope. You should look up what scope means because that's beyond the scope of this video. But it's important, and as you get deeper into JavaScript, you will start running into problems with when you don't understand what scope is in JavaScript. So go to Google and look up what is scope in JavaScript, and you can start digging a little bit deeper. We might cover this later in another video. If you want that, let me know in the comments below. But for now, that's pretty much it. So let's just do a little rundown of what we've learned. So we can create a variable 1 equals to 1. We can create another variable that's a const equal to 2 is 2 or 2 or 2. And we can even set variables to functions equal to functions. Print equals some function do something, right? So this function can be called later on, and we can print out console.log hi. So that prints out hi, and we can print out other variables that we've already defined in our program. 1, 2. So it prints out 1, which is right there, and 2. That's what we told it to print out. So now you can see that we actually have defined this variable print, and we're using it to print out the other 2 variables, 1 and 2. This is the point of variables in JavaScript or in any programming language. You store some value in the variable so that you can access it at a later time in your program to use it for other operations. So we can even do 1 is equal to 2, and then we can do 1 times 2. Or we can do some math on it. So what if we set this to 1 to, let's say this is 3 now. Now we have 3 times 2 is 6. Let's take a little look at what just happened when we try to change to another variable name. It says here that 3 is not defined because we don't have 3 defined anymore in our program because we changed it to 1. So if we change this one to 1, the error goes away because 1 is defined right here. So when you're using variables in your program, make sure that you've defined them before. You cannot use variables that are not defined. Okay guys, so now we've gone over how to create variables, how to create variables that you can change, that you can't change using let and const respectively, so that you can make your data mutable and immutable. And we've shown what kind of variables you can create, from strings to numbers to objects and functions and arrays. And we've even gone over how to use variables, like passing them around to a function so that you can print it out or use it to do some other operations such as math or anything else you need to do with that variable in this data. And I hope that really helps you get started in JavaScript, because variables are a foundational piece to programming in any language, especially JavaScript, and they're very flexible in JavaScript. So go ahead and start using variables, and let me know what you think about the video down in the comments below. And if you like the video, like, subscribe, share, do everything that they tell you to do on YouTube. I hope to continue producing more videos on a weekly basis. Hopefully more than that. I hope to do at least 3 videos a week. Let me know what you want me to do next, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.